Full demo of how to use the recorder on Supercreator. Basically, when you enter the screen, as you can see, you'll see a big canvas of the camera. Make sure you approve your camera permissions, and I'll explain the layout pretty simply. On the left, you've got the control panel over here. This is where you'll have most of the settings, and you could see the different settings here. I'll go over those in a moment as well. Center is where you'll see the camera feed, and on the right is where you're going to see your recorded clips. Now, let's start with, so if you want to change your orientation to go to portrait square, all you need to do is tap here. If you want to change the camera, so right now it's extending the camera, it's scaling it up to fit the canvas, the recording canvas, but if you do this, you can kind of lower the quality or lower the scale, get the full quality. Show grid allows you to more easily understand how to position yourself and just show a nice grid overlay over. You've got the different options if you want to test maybe at a lower quality. If you want to change the video source, so maybe you want to connect to your to a camera, external camera, that could be super important. You could just do that here, and same for the microphone as well. Another cool thing, you could do no camera, and then you could just use this as a canvas to draw over, but that is totally up to you. So one of the best things about Supercreator is it's very easy to go ahead and use media in your recording session. So you can just take a screenshot of something, just drag it over here, drag and drop, and now it's over here, and you could use that in your recording. But what if you accidentally or move that above you and you want to position yourself? So you have this move speaker button, and that allows you to move yourself. And not only can you move yourself, but you can also remove the background. And so then it gets really easy to go ahead and record and make videos, where you have media, you're talking about it, and you don't need to waste as much time on the editing because you're recording it live. Another thing to note is you've got keyboard shortcuts here that kind of tell you if you want to be a power user. For example, Shift+S is one of the ones I use a lot, to move the speaker. So I just added a visual aid, and you can see all of your visual aids here. A few things to note about the visual aids. You can lock a visual aid, that way you can't move it. When you have lots of visual aids, that gets more convenient. You can toggle the visibility as well. So, canvas style, that allows you to change the background. You could change it to any color that you want, and you could also add media, which is really useful if you want to add your own custom background, for example. So let's see. Okay, maybe I want to add this as a background. Great, now you can add that, and you can create images in Nano Banana or whatever, and create your own custom background. We have drawing, which is also really useful. So with drawing, you could draw on the canvas, it records it as well, and you could do that while recording as well. So let me show you. For example, I want to highlight something, and Spacebar is to record. So Spacebar, that's going to also be one of the more useful ones. Spacebar to record and stop recording. So we have the drawing, and this is Shift-D, by the way, to toggle it. Shift-C to clear the canvas. So you could use these and very quickly, create highly engaging human-based content with your mouse, with your computer. There's also different ways to draw. We've got the highlighter, so maybe you want to highlight something. Also very easy. We have neon, so maybe you want to highlight it even more nice color. Rainbow, if you wanted to, or gradient, I should say. Emoji. Right, so there's all these ways to use your mouse, to use yourself to highlight stuff, and also give it that human touch. So that's all about the drawing, and you could just toggle that here. Hover animations is also really nice, so that allows you to, when you're hovering over yourself, you can it'll scale it up, as well as when you're hovering over media. So you could talk about something and then use your mouse to kind of help animate that when you're making these videos. That is the hover animations. Effects. So what does effects do? Effects allows you to do things like, let's say you didn't remove your background. Some of them work with the background. And I want to blur my background. Or actually blur the whole screen effectively. We can crop. Do things like crop your speaker. You can add a border style. So now I did glow. Let's make it a white glow. And let's increase it, or green glow. And now I've got a glowing border, or solid, which is something maybe you've seen more popular in other places. And again, that adds that element to the video, making it more engaging as you speak up and talk about it. So that's all done here in the effects, speaker effects. You can also toggle that off. Now we have the cursor. So cursor is cool because it can allow you to basically show where your cursor is on screen and use that while you're talking about stuff. There's different styles of cursors as well. And this will all appear on your recording. So for example, you might want to point on something, right? So you might want to go, so tech CEO boasts at bicker about AI at Davos. And that will appear on the video, which you're going to see in a moment here, getting recorded. Might want to go, so tech CEO boasts at bicker about AI at Davos. Right, that's a lot. That's very hard to animate and edit into a video, but it's very easy when you're using a mouse and recording it live. And to view any of the videos or any of the clips that you recorded, you can just tap on it and I'll go over what you can do in there. Another thing we've got in the cursor, you've got projectile effects, which basically means when you click, you can create stuff that you can also use to, more explicitly highlight or use it to create more engaging visual effects. And there's also sound effects on those as well. So that's all in the mouse cursor. Move speaker we talked about, reset position will reset you. And now we've got widgets. Widgets are super cool because widgets are these kind of custom things that you can use to make your video more engaging. And you can also import your own widgets, which just gives you full flexibility, full control over making really any sort of video that you want in an engaging way. So let's go back. So now I'm going to reset back to landscape. Let's kind of delete all this stuff and start from maybe a fresh canvas. And you could use your keyboard pretty intuitively. So I've got the, so I'm going to reset myself back to the position. So widgets, close widgets, open widgets. Let's see what the widgets are. You've got a bunch of different widgets. Teleprompter, which you can also start from here. This allows you to have a teleprompter on screen, and if you want to pop it out and extend it so it's not part of the recording, but it can also be on the recording. You might want to use that if you want to highlight stuff. And that's the teleprompter. You can change the settings in here, the speed and so forth. Now back to the widgets. So one example of a widget is this TBPN layout. It's an example of how you can just very easily add this highly sophisticated sort of graphics onto your recording. You've got settings here which you can use to really modify everything. And one of the greatest things is you've got this smart config. So you could just put in information, images here about you, and it will go ahead and update this widget with all that information. So for example, maybe you want to talk about a specific number of things. Maybe you have a Google Doc that you've prepared. You can just go ahead and use the Smart Connect, drop that in here, give it some context, and it will populate all of this information with the relevant stuff that you want to talk about. To delete a widget, you just click on it and delete. Another important thing is if you do Control Z or Command Z or Control, so just like you have in a Google Doc, you've got this undo redo functionality. So if you accidentally delete something or move something, you can just go ahead and do it back. There's a bunch of other widgets here. Talking points could be nice for you, and you could all integrate it in that so it shows up in the recording if you wanted to. So you can have So I maybe want people to see what I'm talking about, right? It can be super useful so they can also be engaged in the content. And you record. By clicking on these, you can actually highlight what you're specifically talking about, so it's more obvious to the person that on the video. Some other cool widgets that I recommend checking is comparison slider. So maybe you want to compare two different images that were created. You can show the before and after, and you can just drag and drop them in here. Sticky notes as well. And you could add these all to your video to make it more engaging. So I want to talk about this topic, blah, blah, blah. And that is going to also appear on your final video, as you can see. Shift W to open the widgets. That's also a nice shortcut once you get the hang of it. You can add a watermark, you can add a QR code. And again, you could import custom widgets. All you really need to do here is you can copy an example and prompt it in Gemini to say, hey, create me a widget that does that or does that. Then you just import it in and it will appear here on the bottom. Example, a property card for real estate, very easy to create. And then you can have your own custom widgets, which is super powerful, your own unique things for recording. Other than that, we've got select a story. So another big part of Supercreator is the ability to storyboard, to edit scripts or stories, and then you can just load them in here. You can, for example, tap on the story, it will load it, and then you will have kind of like this story mode flow where you can easily use the stories that you've created. You'd have a teleprompter, and you could add the media and so forth to the stage. We'll see that popping up in a moment. So you have a story, you want to use the media, you can just tap on it here, it'll get added, and then you also have the teleprompter as well, and you could use that once you edit stories. That's in another video. So once you've recorded a video that you like, there's a few ways to export it. You can just tap here. One of the things you could do is quick download, and that will download it instantly, and then you can go ahead and use it. You've got different options. You can open it in Supercut, which is really the full editor and gives you the full control. And if you want to, export everything together, you can also tap on the export in the top right, and that will, group all the videos together. And from here, it's the same thing. Export, open in Supercut. You can do some other stuff as well. But that's pretty much the recorder. The main idea is you can very quickly record stuff with a human element to it that feels real, that has that human touch to it, and you don't really need to leave any other place. You don't need to download an app or anything like that. So try it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, can't wait to see what you create.